So I've checked in at the hotel. Got there fine in a taxi. I was going to take an Uber, but I kind of haggled a taxi driver down a little bit. I'm not really used to this whole haggling business. It's a lovely day. Very humid, obviously. The hotel is beautiful. It's the Lowe's Pacific Resort, and it's a really nice atmosphere because there's lots of families and couples obviously wanting to going to Universal and going to Disneyland. But I'm just going to go and check out the conference area. Well, wow, that's been quite the morning. I'm completely shattered, but on the other hand, I'm absolutely buzzing. Went over, got my pass, got my speaker pass, went to the speaker room, and then just so many people to catch up with. It's a really great feeling because there's so many people from Microsoft. I spoke to Mike Stoll, I saw Casey Burke, Scott Sewell, Nick Dolman, just April Dunham, so many people, then all the community people, MVPs, and it's just amazing to see everyone. But I am struggling a little bit because of lack of sleep. So I'm going to go and see if I can get into my room a little bit earlier because check-in is at 4. It's about 2:30 now. Maybe I even go and chill out by the pool a little bit. Well, that didn't work. Ran into Chris Cognetta. Great to catch up with him. Deanne as well, and Mehdi Andalusa from Microsoft, who I've been working on the Creator Kit with. I spoke to him a lot about the future of it. I was talking to Lisa Crosby earlier, who was running a workshop yesterday. There's a lot of workshops going on today. Everyone's there with their tables on laptops. Hundreds of people. It's remarkable that they're all on the same page, and whoever's presenting the workshop manages to keep on top of the questions, etc. We haven't actually seen each other face to face, but it's funny because it all feels as though we know each other, and I think that's one of those things about this community. So I think it's a real testimony to how hybrid working can work, even cross continents and cross time zones. I'm really starting to feel the jet lag now. Well, I managed to get into my room a little bit earlier, so I'm going to have a bit of a power nap now, and then a shower, and then I'm going to get up and see what's going on tonight. There's a little kind of ferry boat that goes past. I can just see it from my window. You can see it there, and meet some people at City Walk. Okay, so day 2 was a great night last night. Lots of fantastic conversations, saw some really great people, to see people again, new people that I've met for the first time. So I'm going off to breakfast. There's a continental breakfast, and there's a keynote. Really going to be interesting to see what the overall feel of the conference is from the official Microsoft stance, and then right into sessions. So I'm just going to go and see if I can find my way back to the conference because I have legendary poor sense of direction. But it's just really beautiful here. And you can see in the background there's just like waterfalls, and it's just such a beautiful surroundings. So I think it's this way. That's the setup here for the community kind of booths, Community Rocks, which is going to be cool.
and everyone's heading down to register the people here that weren't yesterday. I think I heard that there was like 50% attendance to the workshops, the pre-workshop days, which is pretty amazing considering on top of the conference days. So everyone who wasn't registered previously is now arriving and heading down to pick up their badge, and I think there's like a backpack with a t-shirt in it and things, so I'm going to go and see what's going on down there. Okay, well that's breakfast done with. Just caught up with a few people in the speaker room. I'm coffee fueled and now going to go and head into the keynote when Charles is going to tell us what's in store, hopefully. So it's a huge room. Just shows you how many people here, and the registration lineups are just crazy still. So hopefully people are going to be finished. Just so many people.
My pronouns are she and her, and I am a Principal Program Manager at Microsoft, and I am your Power Platform and Dynamics 365 Community Success Engineering Lead. And we are very excited that you have come to be with us here in person, IRL, in real life, from all over the world.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, and welcome to the first ever Microsoft Power Platform Conference. It's been over 3 years since we've had a group this big together, and it's the first time we've ever had the opportunity to go incredibly deep about all things Power Platform.
Well, there is such a focus on community as well as Microsoft here, and that really was reflected in the keynote itself. You know, Heather is just an amazing, and there was a lot of applause, and she said every time that she said community, for everyone to whoop, and that was a continuous theme throughout. Every time Charles mentioned community, everyone was whooping as well, which I don't think he quite expected during the rehearsals. Pro code, no code message was clear. Charles was talking about having like a midlife crisis in the Power Platform and reassessing, you know, the evolution of where they've come from and where they're going to. And he actually liked it to the original Microsoft vision of having like a PC in every household. You know, he was saying that, you know, everybody on the planet should be able to write apps. You know, there was a lot of videos from community members, and there was a very funny quote that it was like, I don't know the difference between Python and Alligator. Governance was also a key focus because one of the things that Charles said was that, you know, maybe there's people in the audience that if we're talking about, the number he gave was 7.4 million current people building apps. You know, that could cause quite a concern for people in IT. So governance is now a very big focus for them, especially around managed environments. There was a demo of the Visual Studio extensions for Power Pages, and that got a round of applause as well, interestingly. But I think probably the biggest thing for me, which was notable, was that Dataverse, or Dataverse as it was pronounced, took center stage. And I think that's the first time I think I've seen Dataverse take center stage in a keynote. Probably there's going to be a shift in the way which we see Dataverse. Certainly, obviously, a lot of the investment has been around solution management, making easier to deploy solutions, which obviously requires Dataverse. So, but then there was a big announcement of co-authoring inside apps as well, so users being able to go and edit apps alongside other users concurrently and put notes in there and collaborate together, which was, again, got a massive round of applause because it's a big pain point at the moment. You know, you get locked out of an app when someone else is editing it. Then the second keynote, it was very interesting because Jeff started and kicked it off, and Jeff is obviously, you know, some people say he's like the father of SharePoint, and so it was a brave move, I think, to put the first focus on Dataverse and Power Apps up against SharePoint. I think the two really did come together because of the focus around collaboration in Microsoft Teams, and the phrase Microsoft Teams as a platform kept on coming up. So every feature is sort of Teams enabled to allow people to use Teams to build apps, but also collaborate against other Power Apps that are in your environment. And then Vesa came on, and he was talking about the kind of pro dev aspect of SharePoint, looking at SharePoint framework and how that's been enhanced to enable, again, to be able to be writing SharePoint applications that sit inside Microsoft Teams. So the two sides of the house, if you like, the Dataverse and the SharePoint, really then revolve around Teams as a platform story. And of course, there was a lot of customer stories, showcases, as there always are in these events. There were some technical problems, but actually they handled them pretty well. At one point, someone shouted out, "You're on mute," which just made me laugh. Yeah, the second keynote, I think the focus around collaboration, Teams as a platform, really did sit quite nicely with the first, which was focused around the pro code, no code story. And then finally, Chris McNulty did a demo of Syntax, which is the AI capability inside SharePoint, which is actually very similar to the Power Apps AI capability for document classification and things like that, extracting metadata. So now I'm going to go and check out my next session. Well, it's been an action-packed day. It's been to lots of different sessions, actually, some really good ones. I was, earlier today, I was at Deanne Taylor's session. She was doing a PVA cookbook session. She showed some really cool stuff, actually. She had like a Star Wars PVA bot that kind of talked about the dark side and lightsabers, and she was showing the difference between like system entities and custom entities, and how the bot can learn and synonyms and variables and how to use those, and she did some really cool demos. So yeah, that was great. Also went to Chris Huntingford and Carl Cookson session on governance, and they had a lot of stuff. It was a classic Chris Huntingford performance, some craziness talking about fire breathing and drinking beer and Lego and all sorts of things like that. The overall message was very much about trying to empower makers through governance, and asking where are your makers going to be in your organization, giving them all the resources they need, and actually called out the Creator Kit, giving them templates so they can create consistent apps. One of the things they talked about was calling it a solution, not an app, which I thought was quite a significant shift in the way you think about governance, solving problems, not just creating apps. There's been a mix of 30-minute sessions and 1-hour sessions. My two sessions are 1-hour sessions, maybe even a little bit too long perhaps, but they've certainly got good breaks in between, like 15-minute breaks where you can go get a coffee. So I went to Louise Fries's session on the Creator Kit. She pointed out how to install it. It was kind of queuing up the sessions I was going to be doing later on in the week. And she also was sort of pointing out some of maybe the gaps that the Creator Kit shows up, like why don't we have those kind of controls out of the box, and the fact that the Creator Kit is very much a bridge until that point. There's a really good speaker room that it's been good to hang out in. I feel somewhat privileged to be able to go in there. Everyone from Microsoft and other MVPs and other community members that are speaking are hanging out, and some really great conversations. It almost feels like the sort of thing that you corridor kind of conversations where people are showing each other stuff that they've been working on, or new things so the buzz that has started yesterday is getting more intense, I think, but just simply because there's so many people here. I went to a session on Azure and Power Platform better together. Kartik was sort of talking about like pay-as-you-go, and talking about how Azure can enable a different way of paying for the licenses, like for ISVs as well. That can make a big difference. And pointing out that if you're going to interact with Dataverse between Azure and Dataverse through the API, that you need to think about API limits and storage limitations and things like that. Interestingly, there was Kuba joined over Teams, and he demoed a application that he's been working on and the solution architecture of it. And it was interesting, he said that less than 5% of insurance policies can be bought online, which is a number that was considerably higher than I thought it might be. You're talking about the architecture and how they used Azure for that scalable and fault-tolerant interface, and then moved into the Power Platform using model-driven apps for the various different roles to interact with the data, and then sending out emails using Dynamics Marketing. So it was like Microsoft across the board. And then finally, I went to Chris Baldwin and Per Mikkelson's session. It was like a pro code session. I couldn't not go to the pro code session. They did a show of hands of like who's a pro coder at the beginning, and it was pretty much the whole room. There was a lot of people there, which is kind of, it's great to see a good distribution of people between sort of the SharePoint admin, between Canvas app makers and pro coders. It's a very good representation, I think, from the whole of the Power Platform here. They were looking very much at the code first angle, so the VS Code investments that they're making through the extensions there, and PCF, and how you can then create Power Apps from Azure APIs. I've just noticed it's about to tip it down with rain. There was just a thunder clap. Hope I'm not going to get drenched. But then also like things like Git integration and investments in ALM. Some really good questions from the audience as well. Chris was talking about testing, and actually perhaps this was the best bit for me from the whole day, was the investments that's being made in testing so that it could be put into a DevOps pipeline so that you can test your Canvas apps inside a pipeline automatically using Test Studio scripts, and then also download those and into a YAML format inside VS Code and get those into source control. Because I think there's a significant gap there at the moment in terms of the maturity of being able to test Canvas apps compared to maybe being able to test the pro code components that people are building. So all in all, there's been a real focus on pro code as well as low code. And 2 years ago, perhaps that wasn't the case. And Per actually said he joined Microsoft only 3 years ago. And it seems like he's been there for a lot longer than that. But when he joined, it was a very different story to the way it is today. And the continued investment in the pro code side as well as the low code side shows how serious I think Microsoft are about making the Power Platform, enterprise ready, being able to get an entire enterprise application deployed, as well as those smaller task specific apps that are being deployed on Teams as a platform. So it's both ends of the spectrum, which is fantastic to see. Internet has been really, really flaky, dropping in and out. Some demos have suffered from that. So I do need to, I think, go and make a backup and pre-record some of my demos, which really I would prefer not to. But before that, I'm just going to go and check out the Expo Hall and see what that looks like. Part of the welcome pack was we got a drinks ticket as well as a ticket for a T-shirt. They're just like the Power Platform conference T-shirts. So I'm going to go and pick up one of those, and then I'm going to get a drink. But it's certainly a much smaller expo than, for example, an event like the Summit, North American Summit from DCI that I went to last year. But there's a good representation of sponsors here, and there's the Microsoft booth as well, with people talking about the product and a buzz there. So I'll go and see who I'm going to find, and then I'm going to do those recordings.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah,
and I'm talking to you.
I found this guy, and I don't know where he came from. I'm just talking to, I don't know, these people. It's 2 or 3 listeners.
Okay, perfect. Oh, you doubled your viewership.
Who's this lady?
Who's this guy? He's my favorite.
Drew Polderman, how you doing?
Crispy as heck. Hey, everyone.